Saucy Salsa. My name is Paige. I study event management at Chichester University and I'm part of a group with Laszlo, who studies business studies and event management, and Ellie, who studies accounting and finance. Saucy Salsa was set up in 2015. It is a condiments manufacturer that produces a sauce and a dip in one, which was based on Rosie's heritage, which is a mixture of Spain and Tenerife. Even though it was set up then, the process of getting it set up started before then, in 2008. This is when she started generating ideas, and in 2010 she started inquiring into the environmental health and researching label companies. In 2010, whilst looking for the research companies, Rosie got put in contact with a label designer under the name of David Rogers. Rosie wasn't in much of a financial position to start the company until around 2012 to 13, and it wasn't until 2014 that she received her first documented invoice on Saucy Salsa. In 2014, Rosie met Nick, who then became her sauce maker. Samples were then sent off to laboratories and training standards were involved to make sure that the labels and nutritional content was all correct and applied to all laws and regulations that had to be followed. In March 2015, after Rosie completed a business course, she registered Saucy Salsa as a limited company and started distributing at local community and food markets. Between April and to December 2016, Rosie started attending food shows such as BBC Good Food Show, Foodies Festival, Speciality Food and Restaurant and Takeaway shows. Rosie got signed by Sugarwise as Saucy Salsa has no added sugar, and Suma, who are a company that distribute products throughout the UK and Europe. In January 2017, Saucy Salsa received an order for 13,500 salsas from Germany, but because of personal reasons and problems with the coriander product and the packaging of the salsas, it brought the production and distribution of the product to a near stop. In 2019, David Wood got on board to kickstart things back into action with their first protocol to be with the faulty packaging. This is where things have carried on till now.
During our first action learning set on this project, we did some brainwriting to come up with our initial task focus ideas, including new products, sustainable packaging, eco-friendly sample sachets, and highlighting vegan and vegetarian recipes, also developing the creation of the recipe book as an ebook. From the initial ideas list, this was our short list to develop the creation of a recipe book as an ebook. They could use this in their Instagram bio, so within what's called the link tree, where people who view their Instagram profile could just simply click and it will take them straight to the recipe book and then all of the associated pages to purchase the products needed for the recipes. The next idea was for us, again, to trial the recipes using the products themselves. This is where we got the idea of creating video footage for the recipes, which would increase their Instagram content, just to give some more ideas on how they could do that, kind of as a little bonus for our project, and to highlight the vegetarian and vegan content in the ebook itself. So here we can see some of the current problems and challenges that the business are facing. The main issue is with the packaging of the jars. Some of the lids are not sealing correctly, which is meaning that the product is leaking, which has caused a halt in production and subsequent orders. Possible causes for this could be the heat and the temperature at which they're being sealed or transported, overfilling, or defects in the lids themselves. I know that this is under investigation and they are looking into other packaging options, which some of our colleagues are doing within their projects as well. Another issue they faced recently is that the very popular coriander dip has to be discontinued due to fermentation of the product.
So this slide is in regards to the current performance of the industry / market / organisation. On the right hand side we can see a graph that we have taken from Statista, which shows the value of sauces, mixed condiments and mixed seasonings imported to the UK from 2001 to 2018, showing a gradual increase. So from this graph, we can assume that demand for such product is increasing, and therefore also the number of people who cook at home rather than resorting to getting takeaways.
The business model canvas created by myself, Paige, and Ellie together as a pair. The business model canvas shows the key partners with La Saucy Salsa, which include Nick Brown, who makes the salsas, David Wood, an investor, designers who helped with the design and marketing of the packaging, UK box packaging for the packaging itself, and supplies for the jars, labels, lids and ingredients for the salsas. The key activities within the Saucy Salsa include the production of the sales themselves, the problem solving of the business and the platform and networking of the business. The food markets, stores and convenience stores are the main key resources of La Saucy Salsa. The value performance is very relevant to La Saucy Salsa as they recognise themselves as a business that some products weren't working and started changing and working on them to make their value performance better. The newness of La Saucy Salsa is also a value proposition because even though there are other companies out there like them, not many brands brand themselves as a dip and a sauce. The cost structure of La Saucy Salsa is value driven. This is because they do have a higher price than their competitors, but they believe the value of their salsa is higher than them. The revenue stream is an asset sale. This is because they are selling a physical product which is being generated through their online shop. In time, they plan to branch out into shops themselves. The customer relationship takes on a personal assistance approach as they take online orders on their website, and within them are Rosie's email and personal mobile number, which shows how personal it is. The channels that La Saucy Salsa are using are their own direct channel types, as they are only raising awareness at the moment through food markets and customers can only purchase the salsas through their online website. For the future, La Saucy Salsa are looking at moving into partner stores, distributing to shops and hopefully restaurants. Finally, the customer segment is a mixture between segmented and mass market. This is because they are marketing their product as a cooking sauce, creating a segmented customer base to people who use cooking sauces. And because of the future of La Saucy Salsa, they are focusing on becoming a mass market for a large group of customers with the same needs and wants. This is the SWOT of La Saucy Salsa. It is showing the strengths that include it being a family-based recipe, the years spent on the business structure, the length of time spent working with the stakeholders and the experience within the business. The weaknesses include that they are using other people to make the salsas, which is costing them money, and another one is discontinuing the only cool salsa that they have. The opportunities for them is mainly the ebook, which is what we have created alongside this presentation, and then branching out into social media. Finally, the threats to La Saucy Salsa are the jar leakages, which was a personal experience of mine. After bringing it home and leaving it in my condiment cupboard, it started leaking an oily substance even though it had been stood upright the whole time. And finally, the failed German order, which could have tarnished their reputation among Europe. This is the steeple that me and Laszlo worked on together. I took on the challenges of the social, technological and economical, whilst Laszlo worked on the rest. Within the social, I wrote about the demographics of the business, the fact that it is suitable for vegans and that it is sugar-free. The technological external factors included online marketing, the innovation and the automated messages. Within the economical factors, I wrote about foreign supply, the value of the pound, inflation and the recession. Whilst Laszlo spoke about coronavirus, the weather conditions and climate change, which are all factors affecting the environment. The political factors he spoke about includes Brexit, the foreign trade and trade restrictions. Laszlo also spoke about the legal factors, which included Brexit, the health and safety, and the Sale of Goods Act 1979 and employment laws. Finally, he spoke about ethical factors, including reputation confidentiality and health and safety issues.
As Mullins says, the task of management is to balance stakeholder interests. The stakeholders of Saucy Salsa include Rosie, the business owner, David, the investor, Nick from Outsourced, who produces and manufactures the product, the suppliers of ingredients and packaging, the customers and consumers, the local community of Broadbridge Heath, where the sauces are made, the government, and the food safety and standards regulators.
This is the research that I conducted on the stakeholders of Saucy Salsa. These included Rosie, David, Nick, bank loans, suppliers, customers and consumers, the communities and the government. Within it gives some research into these and a little bit of background on them. For example, that Saucy Salsa has not had any bank loans or lenders as of yet, and that the community, which is West Sussex, is where Rosie makes her salsas and distributes them from. This slide is the potential conflicts that could occur between the Saucy Salsa stakeholders. The way I have laid this out is by using the business decision, talking about who will support this decision and what the conflicts would be. These are just general and not decisions that Saucy Salsa have chosen to do. It is just example. The decisions include investors cutting costs to increase the selling prices, a wage increase, or a quicker delivery service. So the conflicts on these could include all the staff, including investors. It is about knowing the conflicts within a company and building on them to make sure that they are not a conflict anymore.
So in order to carry out our stakeholder mapping, we have decided to use Mendelow's matrix of stakeholder mapping of 1991, which consists of 4 different quadrants, including key players, meet their needs, show consideration, and least important. So the key players would be the owners and the business partners of the organisation. In the case of Saucy Salsa, this would be Rosie and David, who have a high level of power in terms of the decision-making process, and also it's in their best interest that the business runs as smoothly as possible. In the quadrant of meet their needs, this would be Nick Brown, who personally makes the sauce, who has a relatively high level of power in terms of the decision-making process and the way the business operates. However, it may be that his interest in the business in general might be quite low. In the third quadrant, the stakeholders who show consideration would be the supplier of the ingredients, who may have a high level of interest in the business in general. However, they may not have a lot of power regarding the decision-making process. And then lastly, the so-called least important stakeholders, who would be the customers and consumers, who would have a low level of power in terms of the decision-making process, but it also may be that they have a low level of interest in terms of how the business or the organisation deals with its day-to-day challenges.
An example of a communication plan that could be effective in managing stakeholder expectations is one we've come up with for consumers and customers who would like information regarding lead time for orders. So in this case, an automated email response could go out following orders, detailing the process flow in order to estimate delivery time and keep customers informed.
This is our product breakdown structure and shows how we created our ebook. What we started with, which is the bottom tier, then the middle tier is what we moved on to, which finally resulted in the top tier, the ebook being created.
I decided to create a Gantt chart in order to have a better understanding of what actions still need to be completed in order to completely finish this project. The Gantt chart shows the different actions that still need completion, shows the times, which show roughly how long each task will take to complete, and also the deadlines, which show the date by which we decided to try and complete these different tasks.
These slides show sections of the ebook itself which we created that is also going to be uploaded separately with our assignment submission. The first few pages here are taken from the bio on the website of the business about the story behind La Saucy Salsa and Rosie's family. Then we go on here, we can see the layout of how the recipes are presented with the highlight on the vegetarian and vegan recipes as we discussed, the breakdown of the contents in the beginning, and then this is a publisher document, so we'll send it to the client in a way that they can amend and edit as they see fit and continue to add recipes to as the business grows. And we have stayed in touch with the client throughout this process as much as has been reasonable under recent circumstances, and have had positive feedback so far on the creation of the ebook.
So for the ebook, we have decided to create a promotional video which would help us promote the product and therefore persuade a lot more customers to purchase it. The video contains 2 different recipes that we have made, which show the practicality of the sauce and show just how easy it is to make the recipes yourself. We have attached the link to this video, which you can access by pressing Ctrl and clicking on the link.
This financial management model just explains the development of both the long-term and the short-term financial resources.
We have decided to create a finance model in order to review our finances. So this will include the number of hours that we have altogether spent on creating the ebook. It will also include the price of creating the ebook in general, and also the ingredients, the cost of ingredients that we have bought for the promotional video in order to promote the ebook. So overall, considering the current situation, like the coronavirus or the national lockdown, we believe that this ebook will be profitable for La Saucy Salsa due to a lot of people having to resort to cook at home rather than getting takeaways due to a lot of shops being shut. So we also believe that this ebook will allow La Saucy Salsa to improve their portfolio and also encourage people to use their product by showing the wide variety of things that the sauce can be used for. So in order to come to a conclusion of what the estimated costs are, we have decided to divide the costs into 3 different sections. Now these sections are the cost of labor, the cost of the ebook creation, and lastly the planned expenditure. So firstly, we have worked out the cost of labor by working out how many hours we have all worked together on this project, which came to roughly about 120 hours. Then we decided to times this number by the national minimum wage as of the 1st of April 2020, which is £8.20, coming to a total of £984 for the cost of labour. Secondly, after conducting some research, we have found that generally the cost of creating an ebook comes to about £400. And lastly, our planned expenditure was the amount of money that we have spent on getting the ingredients in order to create the promotional video for the ebook, which we estimated to be about £25, and in the end it came to about £20. So adding all of these different costs up, we have estimated that the total cost of this project would come to about £1,404.
Potential ways in which we could reduce costs on this project would be on the cost of ingredients itself. If we search further for produce which was on sale, further savings could also be made by expediting tasks to students specialising in marketing, looking for work experience. They could take the material and use it to build the Instagram platform for La Saucy Salsa as well. Looking into calculating the costs of this project with different options, we've reviewed a scenario considering that student work towards the project is actually free, so the savings on labour of £984 have been made. The estimated production cost for the recipe development, etc., remains at £400 to the best of our knowledge from the research previously discussed, and the video cost could be reduced to £10 in relation to the ingredients price reduction. So under these circumstances, the total project cost realistically would be closer to £410. Taking a look at the further cost breakdown, the break-even analysis tells us that 141 units must be sold to break even if the labour costs are as calculated at £984. The sale of 3 further units would cover the cost of the ingredients for the video shoot. So a total of 144 units sold would completely cover the cost of this project, when sold at the proposed price of £6.99 based on the research discussed here. We have calculated potential income from the ebook based on the scenario that if La Saucy Salsa grow their social media following by 100 people per month, they will have 1,200 new followers by next year. And if 50% of those followers purchase the ebook, then we could expect a net profit of £3,210.
That may occur during the project, and these are to do with people, technical difficulties, time issues, financial risks, environmental risks, and complications that may occur with the overall management of the project. So in terms of people, these can be risks associated with the fact that some people in our group may lack the experience of creating the project that we are currently working on, as well as that some of our customers may prefer to purchase a physical copy of the book rather than an online version. So from the technical side of things, these risks can be to do with some technical difficulties, such as maybe losing certain files that could have contributed to improving the ebook overall. From a time point of view, these can be issues to do with when the ebook is actually getting released due to the coronavirus and the lockdown, as these times may differ. Financial risks, so these can be the fact that maybe our budget may not cover the cost of the whole project and therefore lead to additional expenses for the company that is La Saucy Salsa. Environmental risks such as the novel coronavirus and the fact that there is a shortage of certain supplies from shops, which may lead to some people being unable to purchase some of the ingredients that are needed for some of the recipes in the ebook. And then lastly, the complications with the overall management. So this can be miscommunication, for example, of our group, and which could lead to the potential overlapping of certain tasks and making the ebook overall worse.
Building on this project, we recommend that La Saucy Salsa take the ebook and use it as a template to build on and develop further with more recipes and cooking tips. You could use this to add to your Instagram and your website, creating an immediate purchase and download option. And the hyperlinks in the ebook will give more potential for upselling, as customers can purchase sources directly from the ebook. Possibly outsource this work to marketing students to reduce costs, and use the videos and Instagram posts, as well as potentially using social media advertising to promote the ebook. If you still would like a printed version after this project and when business hopefully soon resumes as normal, get back in touch with us. We can speak with the university and possibly look at utilising the printing services on campus to keep costs down. Also, for a further new product development, you could consider possibly, if it would work, something you might want to look into, a side suggestion from us, blending up one of your existing dips and sauces into a fine, smooth hot sauce. Then you would not need to create an additional product itself, just add an additional process, which would give you a different product to sell. Just an idea, something that you could look into.
So to sum this presentation up, we have come to the conclusion that overall the ebook will be profitable for La Saucy Salsa, especially during the times of the national lockdown, because a lot of families are resorting to have to cook at home rather than get takeaways. And we also believe that this product will allow La Saucy Salsa to penetrate the mass market and grow their brand as a whole. Thank you for watching.